let's start our discussion with a prayer. Lord, guide our discussion with wisdom and understanding. May your presence be felt in our words and actions, that we may find common ground and reach fruitful conclusions. May this discussion be productive and beneficial for all. In your name we pray. Amen. Here is our learning objectives. Understand the significance of core values in shaping Filipino characters. Identify the Filipino core values through role play and reflect by integrating the Filipino core values through real life scenarios. Good day, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Now, for today's topic, we have strengths and weaknesses of Filipino characters and the core values under building a nation, building a people. Okay, now let's dig first the strength of the Filipino character. It has seven. First is pakikipagkapwa-tao, family orientation, joy and humor, flexibility, adaptability and creativity, hard work and industry, faith and religiosity, and ability to survive. First on the list, we have pakikipagkapwa-tao or regard for others. It says that Filipinos are open to others and feel one with others. We regard others with dignity and respect and deal with them as fellow human beings. Pakikipagkapwa-tao is a strength because it emphasizes shared humanity, respect, and empathy. It's seen in actions like listening, respectful communication, and community support. For example, during disasters, Filipinos unite to help each other, showcasing this value in times of need. It fosters a strong sense of community and shared responsibility. Just like what happened now, no, we're struck by an earthquake, and as you can see, people, different municipalities help each other, 'di ba? And that is pakikipagkapwa-tao. Second on the list is family orientation. It is a genuine and deep love for the family. For us Filipinos, family is not just important, it is everything. We are talking about your lolo and lola, your titas and titos, and even your super close compares and comares. Family is where we get our sense of who we are. It is where we find support and it is where we always belong. We stick together, respect our elders, and always have each other's backs. It is just how we are raised. Family always comes first. Third on the list is joy and humor. It is a propensity for happiness that contribute not only to the Filipino charm but to the indomitability of the Filipino spirit. You know, we Filipinos are just naturally joyful and funny people. It is like our secret kanang ingredient for getting through life. Even when things get tough, we find a way to laugh, to connect, and to keep smiling. Whether we are celebrating a fiesta or helping each other after a storm, that sense of joy and humor is always there, bringing us together and making us who we are. It is just part of being Filipino. Now let's move on to the fourth one, flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. Filipinos have a great capacity to adjust and to adapt to circumstances and to the surrounding environment, both physical and social. We Filipinos know we are like water. We can adapt to anything. Throw us a curveball and we will figure it out instantly. We are quick learners. We are super kanang resourceful and always find creative ways to solve problems even if we don't have much to work with. That is just how we make the most of what we've got and always finding a way to make it work. It is part of our kanang diskarte, our knack for getting things done. That is why Filipinos can thrive anywhere. Okay, now let's move on to the fifth one, hard work and industry. It is the desire to raise one's standard of living and to possess the essentials of a decent life for one's family, combined with the right opportunities and incentives, stimulate the Filipino to work very hard. Sipag at tiyaga, that is just part of us being a Filipino. We are always looking for ways to make life better, not just for ourselves, but especially for our families. Because, yeah, as we've learned earlier, about the family orientation, no? We are willing to do whatever it takes to learn new skills and take on different jobs. And you will see that context in our OFWs or overseas Filipino workers, right? They go abroad, work so hard, and sacrifice so much. All of it just to support their families back at home. There are modern day heroes sending money back to help our economy and showing the world just how um, hardworking Filipinos really are. Now let's have faith and religiosity. Filipinos have a deep faith in God. Innate religiosity enables us to comprehend and genuinely accept reality in the context of God's will and plan. Faith is just a big part of who we are as Filipinos. It is like we bring God into everything we do, from daily prayers to how we see the world. We believe that even when things get tough, we believe that it is all part of God's plan. Am I right? We're always thankful for the good things and we ask for guidance when we need it. It gives us the hope, strength, and a sense of community. You know, faith first, always. Well, let's move on to the last strength of the Filipino character. We have the ability to survive. Filipinos have an ability to survive which is manifested in our capacity for endurance despite difficult times and in our ability to get by on so little. Okay, you know, if there's one thing that you can say about Filipinos, it is that we know how to survive. You know, we're like kanang bamboo. We bend, but we don't break. We make the most of what we have. We always find a way to get by, no matter what life throws at us. We're so resourceful, adaptable, and we always look for a way to make things work. It is just in our blood. Yeah. That bayanihan spirit, helping each other out and making sure that we all get through. And yes, we're done with the strength of the Filipino character. Now let's have the opposite, the weaknesses of the Filipino character. It also has seven: extreme personalism, extreme family centeredness, lack of discipline, passivity and lack of initiative, colonial mentality, kanya-kanya syndrome, and the last one is lack of self analysis and self reflection. Well, of course, let's dig in the first weakness of the Filipino character. It is the extreme personalism. This personalism is manifested in the tendency to give personal interpretations to actions, that is to say, to take things personally. Okay, so think about it this way. It is awesome that we Filipinos are so close to our families and friends, right? But sometimes that closeness can get in the way. Like, if you always pick your cousin for a job, even if someone else is better. That is not really fair, right? That is favoritism. And if you are scared to disagree with your boss because your friends things might not get done, be might not get done the right way, no. It's like we need to be fair and do what's best for everyone, not just about those who we know. Otherwise, things can get messy and not everyone gets a fair um, treatment or shot. Now, the second weakness of the Filipino character is the extreme family centeredness. While us being concerned for the family is one of the Filipinos' greatest strength, in the extreme, it becomes a serious flaw. Why? Okay, so family is super important to us Filipinos, right? But sometimes it can be too much. Like, if you are always putting your family first, even when it's not the right thing to do for everyone else, that's a problem. Especially for those, let's say for example, those kanang mga breadwinners. It can feel like a huge weight, no? You might feel pressured to give everything to your family, even if it means sacrificing your own dreams or well-being. It can lead to things like giving jobs to family members who are not qualified or just covering up for them when they mess up. It's like we need to think about what's best for everyone, not just our own family. Otherwise, things can get unfair and messed up for everyone else. And we end up burning ourselves out in the process. That is extreme family centeredness. Now let's have the third weakness of the Filipino character. It is the lack of discipline. Casual and relaxed attitude towards time and space, which manifests itself in lack of precision and compulsiveness, in poor time management, and in procrastination. Okay, so you know how sometimes we Filipinos can be a bit relaxed when it comes to rules and schedules? That's what we mean by lack of discipline. It is like we might show up late, not really follow instructions, or start a project with a bang, but then lose interest halfway through. Or ningas kogon. No, it is not that we are bad people, but it can cause problems, right? Things don't get done on time or they are not done properly. It's like we need to learn to stick to things and follow through. Otherwise, we're just not reaching our full potential or we're not getting uh, good outcomes or results. Okay, the fourth weakness of the Filipino character is passivity and lack of initiative. High tolerance for inefficiency, poor service, and even violations of one's basic rights. Okay, so you know how sometimes we Filipinos tend to just go with the flow and not really speak up or take charge? That is what we mean by passivity and lack of initiative. It is like we wait for someone to tell us what to do instead of thinking for ourselves and trying to find solutions. Maybe the reason is we are scared of making mistakes, or we just don't think our ideas are good enough. But the problem is, if we always wait for someone else to take the lead, nothing ever really changes or improves. We need to be more kanang proactive and confident in our abilities. Otherwise, we're just stuck in the same old rut. Fifth on the list is the colonial mentality. Filipinos have a colonial mentality which is made up of two dimensions. First is a lack of patriotism or an active awareness, appreciation, and love of the Philippines. Second is an actual preference for things foreign. Okay, so you know how sometimes we Filipinos tend to think that anything from abroad is better than what we have here. That's what we mean by colonial mentality. It is like we kanang we prefer imported clothes, foreign movies, and even the way uh, people talk in other countries. It is not that our own culture is bad, but we sometimes feel like it is not as good as what other countries have. The problem is if we keep thinking that way, we will never really appreciate what we have, and we will always be dependent on other countries. No, we need to be proud of our own culture and support local products. Otherwise, we're just selling ourselves short. The sixth one is kanya-kanya syndrome. Filipinos have a selfish, self-serving attitude that generates a feeling of envy and competitiveness towards others, particularly one's peers who seem to have gained some status or prestige. Okay, so you know how sometimes we Filipinos can be a bit competitive, especially when it comes to success. That's what we mean by kanya-kanya syndrome or the so-called crab mentality. It is like if someone is doing well, instead of being happy for them, we try to pull them down. It's that if I can't have it, neither can you attitude, no? It's not a good thing because it stops us from kanang working together and helping each other succeed instead of celebrating each other's achievements. We become envious and try to sabotage each other. It's like we're all crabs in a bucket pulling each other down instead of climbing out together. So that is what crab mentality is. Now let's have the last weakness of the Filipino character. It is the lack of self-analysis and self-reflection. In the face of serious problems, both personal and social, there is a lack of analysis or reflection. No? Okay. So, you know how sometimes we Filipinos tend to just brush things off and not really think about why things happen or how we can improve. That's what we mean by lack of self analysis and self reflection. No, it's like um, it's like when something goes wrong, we just blame it on bad luck or someone else's fault instead of looking at our own actions and figuring out what we could have done differently, or we just accept things as they are and don't really question why things are the way they are. All right? No? The problem is if we don't take the time to reflect on our experiences and learn from our mistakes, um, we're just um, we're just going to keep repeating them. No, we need to be more self-aware and take the time to analyze our actions and motivations so that we can grow and become um, better people. Now let's move on to the core values. Now let's have Gladys Mir Barcoma to discuss everything about core values.
Hi class, good day. And now we're discussing about building a people or building a nation inspired by Patricia Luciano work while focused on the core values that shape us as a Filipino. So the first one is love of God. So it states here love of God in Filipino culture. Love of God is a central value deeply ingrained in many Filipinos. We are predominantly Catholic. This love is evident in their strong faith, regular church attendance, participation in religious activities, and integration of faith into daily life. So, in the context of building the nation, let's let's try to imagine how this nation can be called nation without the love of God, without people, without people engaged to that activity. So, love of God is all about ethical behavior and compassion as an individual to build, or as it is important to build the nation, to build our nation. So, next is family orientation. So, family orientation is a deeply rooted value in Filipino culture where the family is considered the center of society. So Filipinos prioritize family relationships and maintain strong bonds with both immediate and extended family members. So, so how this family orientation affect to build our nation? Simply means, example, overseas Filipino workers. So our OFW can has greatly as greatly as a greatly contribute when it comes to our economic aspects. The question is, how does family orientation contribute to nation building? So, yes, family is a basic unit of society, right? So, if families are strong, united, and value education, then children grow up with a good values and become responsible citizens. So also, Filipinos often work hard to support their families, even if they have to work abroad. That contributes to our economy. So, example, OFW, overseas Filipino workers. Our OFWs are a great examples of how family orientation fuels our nation. The third one is malasakit. So malasakit is a Filipino value that embodies a deep concern for the well-being of others. It goes beyond simple charity, involving a sense of ownership and accountability in addressing the needs of the community. The question is, how does malasakit mean to you? And how can it help to build our nation? So, well, of course, malasakit, as we all know, is about how to care someone, how you is like caring deeply about others or the community. So, as an individual, we have this kind of attitude, empathy toward others, sympathy, or you know, that's our innate attitude as a Filipino. Then the third one is, as I mentioned earlier, malasakit is caring deeply about others and our community. It means being concerned about the problems of our neighbor, our barangay, and our country. If we all had malasakit, we would be more willing to volunteer, donate, and help those in need. We'd also be more active in solving community problems. In short, malasakit is about sympathy and social responsibility. Can you get it, class? Wala mo choice. So the fourth one is nationalism. So nationalism refers to the support and promotion of a political identity associated with the Philippines as a modern nation state. Also, expressed through understanding and respecting national symbols such as a flag and national anthem. So the question is, how can we show nationalism in our daily life, especially as a student? So, hmm, so nationalism is about being proud of our community and our culture. We can show it by studying hard, respecting our flag and national anthem, supporting local products, and learning about our history. It's also about standing up for our country when it's being criticized unfairly. The last one, resiliency. So, resiliency in Filipino context is the ability to recover quickly from the difficulties and to maintain a tough but gentle stance in challenging situations. The question is, why is resiliency so important for Filipinos and how can it help us to build our nation? May I request everyone? That's your assignment, Charis. So, resiliency also means learning from our mistake and finding new ways to solve problems. It, it's not just about surviving, it's about striving despite the odds. So, to wrap up my discussion, as we can see, these core values, love of God, family orientation, malasakit, nationalism, and resiliency, are all interconnected and essentials for building a strong and progressive nation. So, now how can you apply these values in your own lives starting today? So, think about it. And that would be all on my part. And let's hear teacher Aslay for continuations. Bye.
Hi, my name is Ashley Grace Alberine, and I will be explaining to you the remaining core values. So there are already 5 remaining core values. So now let's move on to flexibility, adaptability, joy, and humor. So Filipinos are widely described as adaptable and flexible in social and work situations. So joy and humor function as coping strategies and social glue, helping groups stay cohesive, resilient, and optimistic during hardship. So these traits are commonly listed as surface strengths that flow from deeper Filipino values, kapwa o pakiramdam. So to help you understand, Filipinos are known for their ability to adjust to different situations. So it could be whether in work, school, or their personal life. So adaptability allows them to survive and even thrive in times of crisis. So while humor provides relief and strengthens bonds within families and communities, these combinations serve as a coping mechanism that helps maintain optimism despite hardships. So to help you understand more, I'm gonna give you an example. So, di ba, during typhoon or natural disasters, many Filipino make jokes or laughter together even while in evacuation centers. So, this lightheartedness reduces stress, boosts morale, and creates a supportive environment where everyone feels less burdened. So, do you relate to this, students? So, diba, in times of hardships or calamities, we're able to surpass it because of resiliency and finding joy and humor with any situation. So now let's move on to the next core value, which is hard work, industry, and stewardship. So hard work and industriousness, including entrepreneurship and willingness to take risky work abroad, are recognized as important Filipino traits. So, stewardship here appears in communal responsibility and caring for family, community resources. So, these traits often appear in value lists alongside flexibility and hospitality. So, to help you understand, hard work and industriousness are deeply valued traits in Filipino cultures. So many Filipinos willingly take on challenging jobs or work abroad to support their families. So stewardship highlights the sense of responsibility, so not only for one's own welfare, but also for caring for community resources and the environment. So can anybody give me an example about this? That's right. So, a good example for that is OFWs and farmers. So, these examples shows how really hardworking Filipinos are and how they show stewardship. So, next, let's move on to the third Filipino core value, which is shared identity o kapwa. So, definition is kapwa, literally shared self or the self in the other, is essential or core concept in Psikolohiyang Pilipino or the Filipino psychology. So it frames relationships as a unity rather than strictly self versus the other. So many surface Filipino values, pakikisama, pakikibigay, or etc., derive from it. So use kapwa when discussing communal identity and mutual obligation. So to help you understand, kapwa or the shared self is a cornerstone of Filipino psychology. So it means seeing others not as separate but as an extension of oneself. So these fosters unity, empathy, and collective responsibility. So values like pakikisama or getting along with others and bayanihan or communal unity in helping one another flow from this principle. So for example is when a neighbor builds a house, community members voluntarily help by lifting and carrying the house structure together. So this is what we call bayanihan. So this act reflects kapwa because everyone sees the neighbor's needs as their own. So do you understand, class? Okay, that's good. So the next is the shared inner perception o pakiramdam. So pakiramdam is a pivotal interpersonal value. So a felt, intuitive sense of others, states empathy or shared inner perception. So it moves Filipino surface behavior, how people sense and respond to shame, humor, politeness, etc. So good for explaining why nonverbal sensitivity and emotional attunement matter in Filipino interactions. So to help you understand, pakiramdam refers to an inner sense of knowing what others feel or need without being told directly. So it is a form of empathy that guides Filipinos in social interactions, helping them avoid offense and maintain harmony. So it emphasizes sensitivity, nonverbal communication, and emotional attunement. So to help you understand, I'm gonna give you an example. So, di ba, in a classroom, a student may notice that her classmate is quiet and withdrawn. So, without asking her directly, so she offers to share notes or accompany her friend, saying that she needs support. So this demonstrates pakiramdam. So, do you have any experiences of pakiramdam, class? Okay. So, can anybody in the group give an experience when you apply the core value pakiramdam? Okay. Okay. So, that's a very kind thing to do, no? You really showed pakikiramdam by noticing your classmates' feeling and reaching out quietly. So, it shows how empathy and respect, sorry. So, you have to keep that up, okay? So, then last, Filipino core value that I will be discussing is shared humanity or kagandahang loob. So, what is the definition of it? So, kagandahang loob, or roughly goodness or beauty of the loob or the inner self, is a linking social personal virtue, generosity, graciousness, and an opening of the self for the kapwa. So recent philosophical and theological readings treat it as a virtue, not just an attitude. So emphasizing giving and receiving and moral character. So they use this to frame ethical aims and moral formation. So to help you understand, kagandahang loob means beauty or goodness of the inner self. So it is expressed in acts of kindness, generosity, and moral integrity. So more than politeness, it is about the genuine desire to help others without expecting anything in return. So philosophers describe it as a Filipino virtue rooted in compassion and selflessness. So, for example, is when a family donates food bags to neighbors affected by a fire, not for recognition but purely out of concern. So they embody kagandahang loob because it is the inner goodness of the heart made visible in action. So that would be the last inner core value. So did you understand our or my discussion, class? Okay. So that's good to hear. So if you're able to understand it, I hope you also took down notes. Okay. So that would be all for my report. Again, I'm Ashley Grace Abrowin, and thank you.